In this week's Saddest Mishpatim, the pasuk tells us, "Imba machteres yimotze hagano v'huko v'meis." If a burglar breaks into my home, if he tunnels into the home through the cellar, through the wall, the Gemara tells us, "Gago chatzero karfifo," that even if he breaks into my home through the roof or through my courtyard, then if he's breaking into my home and it's clear to all that he's doing so with the understanding that I may rise to the occasion to defend my possessions, and in doing so, he will be ready to kill me if necessary, then I'm permitted to kill him with impunity. Habar laharcha hashkem lahargo. Because he knows that a person could be so overwhelmed by a threat of losing his possessions that he's permitted to defend himself to any degree. And the ganef and the burglar is coming with that understanding, ready to kill the victim of his burglary itself. However, states the next pasuk, Im zorcha Hashem shalav damim lo. But if, on the other hand, things are as clear as day, as if the sun is shining with clarity upon the scenario at hand, and is teaching us, explains Rashi, citing Chazal, that indeed, that in bara lecha hadavar sheyesh lo shalom imach, that if it's so clear that the burglar who's breaking into your home, it could be in the middle of the night, and you're nervous and you're scared, and indeed he's putting you on the defensive. But if it's so clear to you, in bara lecha hadavar sheyesh lo shalom imach kishemesh hazeh shel shalom ba'olam, if it's clear as day, clear as the sun, that he may be breaking into your home, but he would never, ever, ever put you at physical harm, then afilu yamo balamomon kenegdo, then indeed, in such a scenario, the person who owns the home is not permitted to kill that individual. And should he do so, he is culpable. What case would that be? Says Rashi, Gigon of hachota lignov mamon aben. It would be the case of a father breaking into the home of his son to steal items from his son, but we would fully recognize in that situation, biyadua clearly, sherach meha av halaben, that at the end of the day, whereas the father may be breaking in to the domicile of his son, but the father would never in a million years raise a hand to touch a hair upon the head of that child. Because to a parent, nothing in life is more sacred than certainly the physical welfare of a child. And consequently, the eino ba al iske nefashos. Then in such a scenario, if the burglar is a parent, is a father, or a mother, then clearly the son cannot fall upon the defense that he was simply protecting his belongings, and that's why he opened fire, knowing that it was his father, because that's not an acceptable defense in the courtroom. Because everyone knows that rachame ha'av al haben, that the parent would never harm the child. And in such a situation, indeed, the son would be culpable and raised on charges brought before the Beis Din for having knowingly killed his father when it was unnecessary. And I thought to myself, an interesting alibi for the defense attorneys on behalf of the deceased parent who was killed by the child. Because after all, the parent may be breaking in, but he would never have harmed the child. And he never comes with a readiness, indeed, to kill the child if the child arises with an arm in his hand to defend his property. But I thought to myself, my gosh, if the parent was so destitute and so desperate that he needed money so greatly that he broke into the home, tunneled in one way, one fashion or another into the home of a child, why didn't the father simply knock on the child's door and say, Bubala, I need a loan. I need you to help me. And even though it's true, we say in Birchas Hamazon, V'lo lidei matnas basar v'dam. And I once heard from Rabbi Wolberg, Rav, that he interpreted these words as meaning below the day matnas basar v'dam, that not only do we say to Ribono Shel Olam, we never want to have to kunsu, we never want to have to come to another knocking on his door to ask for a loan, to another individual. Not even below the day matnas basar v'dam, we don't ever even wish to have to come knocking on the door of our child to ask for a loan, because maybe that's even more difficult. But nebuch, what a lack of communication, or perhaps what a lack of proper love there was to be found between that father and son, that instead of knocking on his son's door to ask for a loan and to ask for help, the father had to tunnel his way into the home of his child, falling back upon the defense of an acceptable tunneling. When all of us, God willing, are zochen to come out of this horrific tunnel that we call COVID-19, and we finally see the light of day, how greatly do we need to reassess our relationships and to ask ourselves, are our relationships such that we can properly communicate with each other to express how we feel, what we need, how others can help us, and how we can come to the assistance of those whom we love and those who are dear to us. Have a wonderful Shabbos.